Hello and welcome to DPC TL. It is a podcast intended to make sure that you miss nothing of the entire DPC season, of all different leagues going on at the same time. And let's be real, 6 different leagues over the entire globe, different time zones. Nobody can actually watch all games and live. So we're here to make it a little bit easier for you and to make it a little bit digestible so that you make sure that you know everything that's going on without having to basically be clustered to your stream 24/7. Really appreciate it if you still do, but humanly possible, not that much. I am Sheever. I will be leading this conversation, but luckily for you, I am not alone. I am joined by TeaGuvnor. How are you doing, T?
I'm doing great. Never thought I'd be on a podcast or do anything like this. So, we'll see how this works out.
Lacoste, how are you doing this day?
All good, ready for the next DPC season to start, and also first time on a podcast, I believe.
Is this your first time podcast?
This is my 18th podcast, actually.
Yeah.
You guys never been a podcast guest?
I've done like 2.
So you have been on a podcast?
Yeah, but I didn't want to do them. It was more like...
Have you been on the Position 6 podcast? He's excellent.
Okay, that one's a banger, all right? But when someone asks you to do it, you're like, I don't really want to talk about myself. But okay, and then you just start talking, and then an hour later, you're like, okay, are we done? Can I go play Dota?
So you have been on a podcast.
Yeah, but I've never tried to commandeer and push a podcast and own one.
I have been on one podcast by your definition then.
Yeah.
We made 4 episodes and we stopped.
I've
4
done
more than us.
12 episodes of a podcast.
Was that with Kyle?
But that was with Kyle.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of things that are not Dota related specifically. But this podcast, we're going to, like I said, talk a lot about the DPC, the Dota 2 Pro circuit. And this podcast is before the season properly started. So mostly what we're going to do today is talk a lot about what we are expecting to see. And, of course, we're going to start with how the previous season went and how the previous season concluded as well. I want to first ask Purge, how do you feel like the whole 2021 season was overall for you, if you look back to that season?
So there was obviously some negatives with the 2021 season, but as a whole, I felt really happy about it from a Dota fan perspective. There was Dota going across the whole day. There wasn't so much that it felt like I couldn't completely keep up. Like I could keep my eye on 2 regions and feel like I caught basically everything.
Yeah.
I really liked that aspect. I thought the major seed-in system was, with some negatives, generally cool. I liked it that there were teams that could become, we could see their slow improvement. What's the best example? Team Spirit. We got to see them do mediocre Season 1. Season 2, they did pretty darn good. Then they qualify for TI and they win. That's a cool story because we now have that data in history. So I think there's a lot of really good things about it. Plus, Div 2 teams getting actual cash money was cool. We'd all like to see, we could probably argue for an hour about small changes we'd like to see with the DPC, but I think it's a great start considering. And now we get an even longer season because last year we started quite late. It was January or something, February, before we started the DPC. We get an extra month and a bit of DPC this year. So I'm excited to see all the development, all the cool stuff that we got to lead into TI last year. It's going to be even better in 2022. Is that where we are? It's hard to remember the year.
Season, okay, so there's a little bit of terminology change this DPC season, because when we talk about a DPC season, we actually, from here on out, mean the entire year. So in the case of the upcoming season, it's the season of 2021 and 2022. That is the DPC season we are at. And that is divided in tours. 3 tours, and we are here at the start of the first half of the first tour of the season, that is 2021 and 2022.
I lost you, I won't lie. For me, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 TI. That's how my simple brain works.
How do you differentiate? Because if I now say DPC Season 2 Lacoste was great last year.
Second year.
What year? No, what?
First year.
First year?
First year, yeah.
First year DPC, second year
but
DPC.
Now with the 3 tours, I think we're going to be more familiar with it because Dota, players, observers, they're more familiar with the T-Tours terminology. So they might be more used to it.
Does tour mean tournament? Or tour as in you were touring around?
Around.
That
you tour
one,
all the teams playing.
Formerly known as season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be a little take a little bit getting used to, but I think in the long run it will be more clear, because right now, if I talk about a season, that has just happened. I don't know if I'm talking about season 1 or 2.
Season 1 of season 1.
My
No, but the
basic brain
DPC
is
has
like,
been
what?
around since 2015.
Okay, no. Okay, for DPC and of course it's been around for a long time. But
Yeah,
like, this is like the new version, right? When
Okay.
they bring out a new patch, we had the DPC patch, which was last year,
Yeah.
with the whole 24-hour coverage of Dota. This is the second iteration of that
okay.
patch.
It's a DPC league.
It's a
Yeah.
DPC league.
There we
I
go.
like that. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned the leagues. We could have just mentioned it leagues. League 1, 2. Okay, never mind. We're mentioning tours because that
Very
is the
helpful.
terminology we've been told to use. Also, are we happy with the fact that things have stayed relatively similar? In case you were not aware, in terms of how teams get seeded into the major, amount of prize money going into it, everything is kind of similar. And I am seeing TeaGuv making some very frustrated faces right now.
I am, because I think realistically, fans just want to see more Dota. So when we see the single best of 3 occurring, and the fact that, for example, we have OG Secret being one of the first, upper division games. Of course, this is not the same OG anymore. They have a whole new roster. It's just the fact that we see them one time, but you don't see the evolution of either team. Whoever loses in week 1, you don't see them build back up and beat or play again on, let's say, week 6, right? So having 1 best of 3 instead of like 2 best of 2s, a lot of teams are pushing for more Dota. A lot of teams wanted to have just more time playing the game and just kind of exposure points or whatever. So the fact it's a single best of 3, it can make it feel a bit empty, but more emphasis on the series.
Goes back to that we were supposed to have 3 seasons during the
League.
Yes,
league, or
three
3 tours
tours.
during the the first year of the DPC. Instead, we got 2 because of COVID, and I think just whoever watches Dota fan base would be more satisfied with how things would turn around and turn out if we had like 3 of those seasons.
And as a very experienced ability draft tournament organizer, I think what's really important is that a lot of people sometimes will say, like, we want more Dota from the fans, but you have to realistically look at what is that going to mean.
Yep.
That's going to mean that the league goes for much longer, or that every day has more games, or there's going to be game overlap, and all of these are negatives that you have to balance. So yeah, I would love to see the top teams play more series, but can you make that fit in with the negatives that are going to overall hurt the tournament as well? And
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
guess
if you can.
The spin-off of that then is then leading on to the whole seeding concept. Like if you keep the group stage the same with best of 3 one time, the fact that, say, the best team in the region automatically still goes to the playoff, you lose the ability for that team to then play maybe the OG again or the Secret, whoever qualifies in the group stage of the major, right? Because you have wildcard, group stage, and playoffs.
Yeah.
So the fact that, again, teams don't enjoy going straight to playoffs because they aren't playing the group stage, getting that momentum, getting that experience. They're going in kind of cold to the playoffs. So I think that's still going to be a big thing, but I think teams now are going to be experienced knowing going into the playoffs, if you're first in your region, you have to respect the fact you aren't going to be playing an entire group stage. You're already in kind of the top part of a major. So it might not be great for teams, but at least they have the experience now of what happened last year. They should know how to work on it for this year to not be, as heavily impacted, for example, with Alliance or for VP, for example.
So there's 2 things that I want to still touch upon before we move forward to talk about some region-specific things. And one is Lacoste, the previous season, year, however you want to call it, obviously was very collared by COVID. We had 2 majors. This time we guaranteed we'll have at least 3, but potentially maybe some third-party organizers will also have LANs. How big of an impact do you think it will have, the fact that teams will face each other more internationally than that they did previous season?
Some teams, for example, Team Secret, they did not want to reveal anything in the previous season. They wanted to, just chill, take a bit more time, relax. I guess it depends what you're looking out for. Sometimes playing too much Dota isn't really that good. Like, yeah, we're going to play 12, 15 games a day, 15 scrims and just get better. It doesn't work like that. You need to find the perfect balance. But yeah, the more you show, I think right now where we are at is that like the patch overall is just good. Like we've been on a great patch since the previous year. I think it's one of the most balanced patches. And if we just keep this, keep it fresh, you always gonna need to bring in new ideas.
Yeah.
You will have, I think, just more strategy and with people playing more games. Like you can see post TI, people are more relaxed and they are, new to experimenting. They're free to experiment, play new heroes, try out new stuff. While during the TI, it was, you see this Magnus, you see this ET. It's always going to be the same because that's what's working, especially for the teams that are winning.
Yeah, that was actually my second point as well, because Purge generally, correct me if I'm wrong, after TI has happened, you get a bit of a down period, everybody has their holiday, and then there's a big-ass patch. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a balance patch, but that's it.
Well, the way that I look at it is that you have to keep in mind that TI got delayed. When you think about the patch release, what normally happens is like you have qualifiers in like June area, then you have a little baby patch to basically like tweak a little bit, and then TI happens in August, and then there's like a break, and then you expect like a big patch in like September or October or something. By TI being shifted back, it forced them to put another patch in before TI that they weren't expecting. So they'd use some of their good ideas there. And then they have to do a baby patch after TI. The big patch usually comes like late November, basically, like around Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving time.
So now.
So it would be now-ish that we'd get a big patch. But it's not going to be today.
No, I don't.
Probably.
They can't
never
also
know.
do it during the league, right? Like even though, so the first league or tour or whatever for this season, the Christmas one, there is the break, right? So it's 3 weeks and a 10 or 11 day break, then it's back on again. So realistically, this big patch, it will either be at the end of that entire block, right? Before the first major, or they'll wait until after the first major, and then they'll be like, okay, congratulations, you played on this patch, that's good. Bam, new patch, then you play season 2.
Kind of have a feeling that we're gonna have a patch like right, like in between Christmas and when the first
during the break.
Yeah, pretty much.
I personally would love it. I'd love a little cheeky little patch. You 3 weeks of DPC.
You
bang,
know why?
But teams would be so upset.
We need Dire Tide, and we need to put the Christmas hat, Santa hat on Roshan. That's why I think we're gonna get a big patch.
So you want like a kind of UI patch? Everyone gets happy with the visuals, not the physical gameplay. Or do you want to see like map changes? Roshan suddenly spawns, on the other side of the map.
It needs to feel like Christmas in game. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So okay, you just want a cosmetic patch for Christmas, and then you'd like the nitty gritty 24-hour Purge stream. Mid-January.
Yeah, hopefully they release it like literally 11 a.m. Christmas Day. Then I can just stop whatever I'm doing. Be like, sorry, everyone in my life. I got duty calls.
Easy. Well, we'll see if we indeed will get a patch. Hopefully at least a little bit of a Christmas patch around Christmas time, of course. Now, we are starting a fresh season with a bit of information regarding Eastern Europe because we already heard Purge say it, previous season, Team Spirit was the poster boy, Lacoste. They were the poster boy of Dota 2. That's the way it's supposed to go. You get better over time, you win TI. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, their miraculous run during TI, if you remember, first and second day, I believe they were 1 win, 3 losses, and then managed to get to the 4th place in the Group A, which was pretty impressive. Dropped to the lower bracket, and then the Cinderella story in the lower bracket, straight to the grand finals, beating PSG LGD 3-2. I think it showed that this region has like a lot of strength. I think when EU West and EU East decided to split up as regions, everyone was looking at the West as a better region overall because EU East had some good teams, but definitely didn't expect them to win. I don't think anyone expected them to do this good. They were really great. So TeaGuvnor, my friend, what do you think about the other strengths of this region?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, okay. First of all, going back to Spirit real quick, I think the main question is when you win a TI, everyone's going to look at you to still be the best, right? And TI is one of those tournaments where so many players speak about it, where in the moment you have the right day, you get everything going, you can win it. But the real question is, have they developed the mechanisms of winning to then go into a 6-week league, into a kind of a more brutal battle to be able to still hold down that dominant spot? I think most people will assume that, Yotaro being still ranked 1 in the world, everyone's grinding, everyone's looking good. We expect Spirit to be the best. But for me, I'm looking to see, can they win TI, get all that money, and then continue to still dominate when you have teams like Na'Vi with their 24 billion different roster swaps throughout a year trying to rival for that spot, VP making a couple key, critical changes. Like, they're hungry. Hopefully Spirit still has that burning hunger and desire, which I think, of course, they will.
They do. I mean, we didn't have really much of a break between, like, it was, a month ago that TI ended, month and a half.
It's not been that long,
Yeah, it really wasn't that long.
Correct.
It's in terms of like Dota time, it's nothing. It's basically you play 100 pubs and you're ready for the next season. And as you mentioned, like Toro, everyone else from Team Spirit is grinding. If you watch their interviews, like they want to win this one again. So yeah, coming out from the Eastern European region, there's always been this big rivalry between Virtus Pro, who was pretty much the uncontested during the Season 1 and Season 2. And looking at how they played, I personally did not expect Virtus Pro to change the roster, considering that they got the 5th place. I was like, yeah, why is this happening? You know, this team played extremely well. They struggled a bit during the majors because, you know, didn't have too much LAN experience, but there's always been rivalry, like who's going to be the best CIS team, and everyone was probably going to say it's going to be Virtus Pro because they've proven time to time they had this dominant era where no one could touch them. So I'm just wondering, what's going to happen next? Like, who's going to be the best team coming up from the East European region?
I am so surprised in regards to Virtus Pro. We heard them throughout previous season. They were saying, oh, we always wanted to play together. We finally got it. All good blood. Everybody happy. Apparently not so much. And now Division 1 Purge, Save is not even playing in Division 1 as far as I'm aware.
That's one that shocked me the most because I think Save really showed himself to be like an amazing support in the entire season. He's like one of those guys, whenever I tune into his pubs as well, I'm just like, oh my God, he's like incredible.
Yeah.
He's like one of those support players that like regularly outplays people, which isn't always the case. But I don't think it necessarily has to be a negative story. Nightfall went to EG. Who says EG doesn't walk up and say, give us Nightfall, we'll give you $1 million? I think that's possibly what broke the team structure first, and then who knows why Save left. But I think that's a more likely story than it is like the 5 guys didn't want to play together.
Yeah, I know that VP, I don't know if it was like the official statement or one of those kind of like community things, but it was the fact that even though they wanted to play together, over time you naturally have leaders being built, and obviously they came together as like 5 mates, and obviously you need to build that kind of leadership. And then if you don't all believe in the same kind of idea or approach to the game, then you can have those kind of drifts or rifts of form. So potentially is like the majority stayed and then Save and Nightfall who are maybe more... Because like Save, he very much, in his interviews and the way that he played, you see like he's trying to lead the team, right? Same with Nightfall. Like they all have a big opinion. So I feel like after that long together, the success they had within the region, it is just like a natural thing of, we tried it, we did lose to Spirit, didn't really work out, we got, 5th or whatever, let's just part ways, stop trying to conflict and build our own, super teams in our own way. And with Save as well, I don't think he played open qualifiers either. I did check on the first one, but top 8, top 16 teams in open qualifier, he wasn't there. So either he bombed out real early and I just couldn't find him,
or taking a break,
or he's taking a break, or potentially maybe he's still under contract or something and he just isn't able to play yet. But he for sure is a player to look out for in the future. Maybe next tour, is that the right word?
Yes.
Next tour.
Yes.
That's the one in months after now, he might suddenly become like the big replacement in the 4th position for any of the other teams.
If you look at the Eastern European region for Division 1, like some of these teams are like completely new swaps. Who's to say that like in tour number 2 or tour number 3 that someone says, all right, things aren't working, bring in Save. Like it's his chance to get into TI.
Yeah, because
really
you can do that this time around. We have 3 tours instead of 2, so it's going to be, I think, much more roster swaps. And for Virtus Pro, they have Ilias, who was known as a Kingslayer, and now is back to Ilias, listed on Wikipedia. So, maybe they don't. First of all, I wouldn't allow that to happen. Like, did you change your name? You can't go back. Like, you can't do that.
I think he mostly changed his name because Nightfall had to change his name, and he went for Nightfall, and it was somewhat Game of Thrones related. And then went for Kingslayer as well. I don't know. Something like that. But he's back to Ilias. One thing I still also wanted to talk about regarding Team Spirit winning is they were a young squad. Our young squad still are. Did really well. What does this mean for them winning as the region, as Eastern European winning a TI? That was the first time since TI won. That is
I think it gives a lot of hope to younger players in the region, considering pretty much everyone on the Team Spirit is relatively young, and they can look up to them as, idols. Like, I want to be like this guy if we grind. Because what Team Spirit showed during TI is also kind of a power of friendship that we've seen in the TI winning teams like OG. This is what's important. The region was kind of struggling with, I'd say in 2018-19, finding new talent, because most of the time you see these players and you're like, this is just a stack. Like, this is not a real team, because there's so much potential in the players coming up from the region. You just need someone to lead them. And if you combine these like new blood, new type of players that have a great ideas about how to play the game with someone more experienced, like they have Miposhka, Silent, who was their coach, you're going to have a winning formula.
Yep. And in terms of Eastern Europe, I personally, and I think a lot of people with me as well, will look at Team Spirit to see if they still do as well as we expect them to now that they are TI champions. Are there any other teams people should keep their eyes on, Purge?
Definitely Na'Vi is the one team that I'm looking at. In tour number 1 of last season, they did quite well. They got 2nd place. That was with General Plane Offlane. They picked, that was like the Necro patch where every offlane ordered by Necro, including General Plane Enigma. Then the next tour, they kick him because they grabbed Ramses as a free agent. And then their team went to crap. There was a bunch of tweets.
They picked the same heroes, and General kept tweeting about them losing with his own heroes. Thank you.
Yeah,
I wanted to add that, sorry.
That's totally fine. Like, I'm a big General fan. I think he's a really good player, so I was excited to see him get picked up again. So now their squad looks amazing. V-Tune, no one is incredible, always has been, always will be. General, Aloha Dance, and Solo now. So excited to see Na'Vi perform. Hopefully they to repair their standing, because they had a very disappointing last 7 months, basically.
Yeah, I think the main thing we need to take away from Team Spirit winning TI, and kind of the concept of that roster and the formation of them from the start of DPC to the end, is you look at any roster in upper division teams, you have to respect what they can bring to the table. Like, for example, if you look at, Hellraisers, for example, it's Watson, Rebel, Limitless, Gilga, and then Malady, right? If I see any of these names, maybe Gilga, maybe Rebel, it's like, you're not really going, wow, that's going to win a TI tomorrow, And it's like, but maybe they find that traction. They beat Virtus Pro in week 1, a week of VP potentially. They find that rhythm. So right now, on paper, VP, of course, the name's there. Na'Vi, the names are there. Team Spirit, the names are there. But for Eos Monaco Gambit, Unique, Empire, Hellraisers, PuckChamp, these teams, they don't have like instantly world star players that are like all 5 collectively. They all have new players. They all have some type of new blood. So
yes.
I think across all regions, you have to keep a fresh eye, especially for the first tour. Second tour, you can assume some things, but
what's important is that you need to keep grinding. There's going to be a couple of roster changes. You see certain things are not working out. You had higher expectations of a player. You're going to swap your off laner, bring in someone new. There's a couple of players that we talked about, possibly like Save. He does not have a team. He sees potential in this team. Let's say Hellraisers that you mentioned. And suddenly this team becomes really, really good because he has a bit more experience on the LAN and he sees a lot of potential, joins the team. So with the 3 tours, I think we're going to see more teams rising and just getting better. It's going to be much better for the region development and the competition.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a very exciting region, the Eastern European region, to keep track of for sure. And we, of course, will keep you up to date here on the DPC TLDR. We have also another topic, a little bit of spice tea, a little bit of drama. We want to keep you up to date with everything. Obviously, very informative podcast this is. But we also make sure that you, when you listen to the broadcast that you can listen to, are up to date with everything, including the memes and the drama.
Yeah, and for some reason I've been tasked with this. I will spill the tea on this though. Good on brand.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we can. Where do you want to start, guys? I want to
start with Leopold.
Oh, thank God.
I want people to know that when Leopold is mentioned, who we mean.
Okay, so to be clear, Leopold is a lad. Let's cross my legs this way. You can't see it, but you can maybe hear it. So Leopold is a lad who was gifted the opportunity, once in a lifetime, by some pro players, not confirmed, but it's pretty much confirmed, to buy their account off him and of them collectively. It was a shared account, top 100 account. And Leopold, being a Herald gamer, started griefing, of course, these upper games because he is not.
Oh, did he?
Not 10 or 11K.
Wait. Okay, so we know smurfing is when a high MMR goes to low MMR. What's the other way up? Is gargameling?
No, Papa Smurf. I don't know.
Gargameling.
The bot account. You bought your account.
Yeah, you bought your account. But anyway, so TLDR, a Herald player bought an account from some pro players, unconfirmed, and started griefing these games. So the equivalent of a high MMR person, be it 4K going to 2K, 5 to 3K, etc. The reverse of that. Of course, everyone was very sad.
He was deboosting the account.
He was deboosting the account, of course, yeah. But yeah, everyone's very sad. And in the end, the account did get banned. He did lose, I think it was like 15, 20 games. Did win one, actually. He played, I think it was Cancelled Tinker that may have carried him to his only victory. But that aside, I think the main point that we're getting at here is the fact that Smurf, it became a big story because it was impacting higher MMR players. But of course, lower MMR players,
we have to deal with that every day.
But there is a fine line between what is a Smurf and what is someone making an excuse to why they lost the game. Like someone being better than them and beating them, they're like, oh, I had to be a Smurf, right? I think there is this kind of concept that if you ever lose MMR or lose a game, it has to be because the enemy's a Smurf. Of course, there's clear Smurfs and it's a big issue, but that's one thing I wanted to touch on. In regards to the high MMR thing, yeah,
because you got to blame someone after you lose the game, right?
Exactly.
You can't blame yourself. That's the first rule of Dota.
Yeah.
So you got to blame someone.
But yeah, the Leopold's account has now been, or the bot account has now been banned, I believe, for the second time. It hopefully stays banned. And I hope this is like a move to stop smurfing in general. I'm a big fan of no smurfing at all. I hate the fact that people can even entertain the idea of having two accounts. If you're a pro player and you can't find a game, it should be a matter of, hey, Valve, I can't find a game on my account. Can you maybe help fix this problem? Let's maybe recalibrate MMR more frequently. Let's change up the way in which games are found at higher MMR. They shouldn't have to resort to going on another account. Because if they go on another account, it's like, oh, I'm a 10K on a 9K account. Oh, it should be fine. But some 4K player looking up to them, oh, look at my idol. He plays on another account. I can do it too. Like this concept is just wrong. And having Smurfs and bot accounts and all this concept boosting, it shouldn't be a thing in the game. So pros shouldn't smurf, Leopold shouldn't buy accounts, no one should buy accounts, no one should smurf. It's pretty obvious, it's light and day, but it happens.
It's giving some extra light to this issue with somewhat lighthearted with the reverse smurf. But at least there's light on it.
It's shade and fraud, right? Like people are happy that pro players have to experience it more or less, is what it looks like in a way.
Sure, but that's fighting fire with fire. Surely.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't mean it's morally a good thing to feel, but like that's why it's satisfying because it's an issue that plagues low level players, but it seems encouraged or okay for pros often. Which is funny because pros literally play against Smurfs all the time. It's those best in the world players playing on something 2 or 3, like 2,000 MMR less so that they can find a game.
I think there's a big difference when, you see a pro player who is, let's say, 9K and he has 8K account that he also plays. He doesn't ruin those games. Like that's
technically
there's
wrong.
A difference.
I don't believe
the thing is, the reason why pros...
I'm not saying it should happen, but there's a difference. If you have like 9,000 MMR and you play at 2K, of course the other people are not gonna have fun.
Of course, but the thing with pros is they have two reasons why they do it. One is because their queue times are too long, and they don't want to wait maybe 15 minutes, potentially an hour if you're #1 in the world or whatever. Which just simply means the system needs to allow for recalibration more often to be able to find games. I believe that button also, doesn't that exist all the time? You can always recalibrate to some
degree. I think there's a max to it. I think you can only do it once every 2 months or something.
Sure, but that exists where, because we're so hungry for the number of MMR, resetting isn't an option for the player by themselves. Because if you're 12K, you're not going to hit that reset button and suddenly go back down to 10K to play Dota, right? You want to have that pride on you. So that means that player naturally goes, I'm not waiting an hour for a game, I'll play on a different account. That just means the system isn't working for the top % of the players. Yeah. So that just needs to be...
They find a temporary solution, a bad solution to a problem that should be fixed in a different way than that. And, I agree with that.
Shouldn't be a thing. Smurfing shouldn't be a thing. It upsets me, Sheever.
All right. It is allowed to upset you. We'll see if we have any developments over the next 6 weeks. I'm also curious to hear if there's any other drama. I believe I've heard something. The team getting removed.
I forgot this is still my section, Sheever. Yes. I'm not used to the podcasting.
In the Southeast Asian region.
Yes, unfortunately, I guess a byproduct of DPC is just the fact that more people are able to compete. Therefore, you have more people accessing games that can be bet on, etc. And unfortunately, we saw a case of that recently in SEA, where a team, I think it was Omega Esports, maybe obviously let's disconnect the brand to the players because maybe the plans can do it separate with the brand or the organization they play for. But yeah, so the players on the roster, I won't try and butcher their names, don't worry. Actually, I can if you want. Hero, Prince, Pure, Zenki, Van, and CTY. Oh, it wasn't actually that hard. But yeah, these lads...
Just to clarify, that's not the CTY.
This is
from China.
Yeah, this is an SEA coach, not the Chinese player. So yeah, these guys got found for match fixing, and they have been removed from Valve competition. And byproduct of that mean that the super competitive Boom Esports in lower division got pushed up to upper division. So
I think people in the lower division are very happy with that because that team looks spooky.
I guess the main thing to touch on here is it is really sad to see when players resort to doing, having to find ways to potentially earn money. And I think it's so hard to really find out who's to blame because in a lot of scenarios, it's just one person who's done the whoopsie and then other people get hit. And we don't really have any information on it right now. It's like the post that was released was, we've done our research and these players have been banned. So behind the scenes, they've been banned, but you don't like to see it. And it's great that the bad eggs are being removed. Hopefully we don't have more cases in the future because it's just bad overall. Shouldn't need to do it. Should earn the money honestly.
Should earn the money honestly. And you can do that if you do well in the DPC league.
Just win, lol.
Just win. And then win TI for even more money. So
easy.
Very easy.
You win Tour 1, Tour 2, Tour 3, TI, bada bing, bada boom. Put a couple more in the bank. That's easy. To
win, though, you need the right combination of players. And therefore, after every TI, you'll see a post-TI shuffle. And this time around, the European one, Purge, was quite exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of rosters that I'm really excited about. After missing TI, TI 10 now unfortunately was in the year 21. It used to be perfect. TI 1 was in like 11, and TI. So we messed that up. Had a big delay, and as a result, not quite as many big roster shuffles. But now we got to see some cool powerhouse swaps. I think there's NA ones and EU ones I'd love to talk about. I think the one that sticks out the most to me is Team Secret probably. Sumail joined them, Ice joined them. So it's Nisha, Sumail, Ice, Yaps, or Puppy. An incredible squad. I don't think anybody can look at those 5 players and find a major issue there. They look absolutely incredible. We've got Team Liquid with some roster swaps too. They had Matumba Man join them as well as Zai, 2 other amazing players too. So that's Matumba, Mickey, Boxy, Zai, and Insania for Team Liquid. So excited to see how they do. And then 2 squads are the same. Nigma Galaxy, Tundra Esports. OG has a basically completely new roster. Taiga joined them from Team Liquid. And Alliance has some new players as well, but I'm less excited about them. Anything else you guys want to talk about EU-wise?
I guess to start, I think with Liquid, on Koikova's stream, big streamer now, by the way, Liquid streamer, he actually mentioned that after leaving the main Liquid roster, he had offers from other teams within the region and other regions, and he just said he just didn't believe in the teams being able to win a TI or win majors. So Koikova was like, he had the option of streaming or potentially playing on a European team. He didn't mention which one / other teams in the world, and he was like, he just didn't want to use his time on it. He'd
I respect that.
Build himself up. So that was pretty cool.
Able to say to yourself, I want to win a major, I want to win a TI, and if you don't see anything happening with that kind of a team, feels like a waste of time, so he can just focus on something else. For me personally, I think the biggest one was Team Secret, Sumail joining in. This just sounds, super strong. And Ice. I gotta say, I don't have the feeling that EG utilized Ice completely. I feel like maybe 80%. I want to see him thrive in Team Secret, the way they play Dota. I think this is going to be a much better environment for him.
What do you think he needed to do different? What was he?
I don't think it was his issue. I think it was just the way they played around him and the way they drafted. You want to give him something else. Seeing Ice play Beastmaster, microing the boar, maybe a Hawk, using the ulti. This, doesn't strike me as an Ice hero. It's just kind of boring to me. I want to see, that Ice.
He has a lot of creativity in the back.
He's been one of the most creative players for a really long time and one of the most successful ones for a reason because he can play a bit of a different Dota.
Yeah, I'm very excited that Nigma Galaxy did not change their roster, even though they didn't make TI. So they believed that was not an issue with the roster. And Tundra didn't just keep the roster the same. No, they signed until 2024.
Yeah.
So they are committed for the long run. Of course, a late bloomer in previous season.
Yeah, I think for sure. You look at the roster shuffles, the fact that Tundra stayed unscathed, I think was most exciting because they peaked after TI teams were set in stone. So it was really cool to see them, what they could become. And I was really worried that maybe 9 would be poached or there'd be some amazing offer that's I can't turn it down. But the fact they stayed together, they have now signed this long contract. I want to see Tundra at majors. I want to see their creativity. 9 is one of the few players who still play Spearbreaker mid, so thank you very much for giving that, even though you have a 33% win rate in like 18 games, but it doesn't matter. Ignore the win rate, keep playing at 9, you got this, buddy. But yeah, I think Tundra, it's exciting that they can stay together, and I just hope they can find that magic that they had after, kind of in that kind of pre-TI period, because it's been a long time since then, and teams can fall.
Yep.
So I just hope they still have that magic.
So there's one thing that stood out to me as well for this specific roster swap is that previous post-TI roster swaps, I feel like we've always, at least in Western Europe, have had some fresh blood joining some high caliber teams. This time around, it's mostly swaps amongst each other. I feel like we don't really get that much fresh blood. You can call Alliance fresh blood, but then they swap 3 players, so it's not just one fresh blood star player integrated in 4 veterans. It's 3. Well, I was fresher players, of course. Supreme, Leslau have been around for ages as well, so they're not that fresh. So you can call Aramis perhaps that star player, but that's like the only one. And I feel like normally for example, that's how Nisha, when Nisha was first appearing on Team Secret, came to the limelight. We saw Ace have the same one, also via Secret. Miracle via Team Liquid in that case, but then later Team Nigma. We kind of like that.
Yeah, I got confused. I was like, which team was it that, Tech OG was originally where I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe it was OG. But I feel like we have had that more often.
Yeah, I like both methods. I like that we have a blend. We have some star teams like Team Secrets, but then teams like OG or Alliance are like, we're just going to shake it up and say like, let's grab some good talent. And in some ways, it's probably beneficial for them as powerhouse orgs. You probably save a crap load of money grabbing players that are like unproven or at least slightly proven. They're good, and you mold them. Like, imagine OG trying to sign like a team like Team Secrets, like all tier 1 talent on the roster. They're going to get crazy high salaries. Like, they can still make magic out of this, and we've shown that we've seen in the past that it can happen. So why not have a couple teams go for it? So I like that there's some teams doing that.
But it's also kind of the idea that teams want confidence in who they pick, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have, like for example, Alliance, they had a pretty good season. At LAN, not so great, but like they did well enough. They're not going to suddenly put all their eggs in the basket of let's pick up 2 brand new players, hope for them to do well. They want to have some type of confidence. So I think most of the roster swaps here is organizations respecting that the tours, it still leads to TI. Like OG, they pick up 5 new players. They probably don't care if they don't make the first 2-3 majors, right? Like OG's mentality is still, we can play the very end.
Long run.
Exactly.
Go for the gold. Go for TI.
Exactly.
That's it.
And you see these other changes from teams. They're still looking at TI, right? Like every team is looking at it, but they're not making the bold play in Tour 1. They're going, let's go for the comfortable play where we have players where we know will do well. If we don't do so well, whatever. But like, I'm looking at teams which are super grounded, and they all have potential to make some moves within the region for sure.
Just by looking at the names of some of these teams, you can see that some are more favored than the others. But I want to touch on some of the names that are kind of new, even though you know them. You mentioned Aramis, who was my favorite player coming up from Viking GG, and I think he just excels at certain heroes. He knows his positioning. DNZ, that is playing for Cool Guys, my creation boy.
My man Noob,
yeah,
the mid lane?
My man Noob.
Oh,
No, Noob as well. I think these 2 players, plus Aramis, have shown that they can play some really good Dota, and now being in Division 1, I think they're going to show like what they're really made of.
Yeah, for a lot of people as well, you might have realized that previous season ended with Level Up and Viking GG making it to Division 1. And if you would look at the list right now, you won't see those names because they changed their names. Viking released their roster, and it's now a different roster. Only 2 players remain the same, and they continue under Team Tickles. So that is the team that took Viking GG's slot, and then the Level Up squad let also their players go. And that squad is now Cool Guys, and that is 3 of the 5 remained the same. So those 2 teams you will see a lot also in the Division 1 of the Western Europe region. Any team to look out for in particular? For me, I am very curious, just mostly curious to see how OG is doing, because it's 5 new players.
All eyes on them.
Okay, Taiga, well, obviously we are very familiar with Taiga, but the rest, I don't really have a lot of data on, and I'm just very curious to watch them play.
I mean, Misha coached them at TI, correct?
Yes.
Every day that I went down to eat at TI, I was like, that must be Topson's brother. Like, he must be helping the team out. He looks very similar to Topson in some ways. So he's got some experience. They probably trust his vision.
Yeah.
Targa's obviously very good. ATF did amazing. He really stood out, one of the offlane players that stood out during the previous tours. So I'm sure I have faith in the OG players, even if they don't do good after TI. I know that they have good Dota taste. So I'm sure that they're going to do at least okay.
Yeah, I mean, OG is an organization, and you have all these TI winning players that are going to help them out. They probably didn't go, let's pick some random pub stars that they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they know. They have so much experience that when they see a good player, they know what they can, mold them into. They see the raw skill, and, so they did not pick these 5 players for no reason. Like, they have vision.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it just takes a couple tours for OG to really, come online, right? Like, their first match is against Secret. This is a Secret where Nisha's back to carry, Sumail on mid. Of course, Sumail has been, whenever he goes to mid, it doesn't look bad, right? Like, it's hard to have a bad game there. And then we mentioned earlier the creativity of Ice, right? Like, that is the true test. But if OG wins this series, either Secret hasn't understood their players to maximum potential, or OG has found like the perfect mix, and they're going to be...
I'm going to call it. If OG wins game number 1, they're going to start using the old chat. These new blood players, there's going to be some question marks dropped in the old chat.
I saw... I was watching the top games, right, on Watch tab on Dota, and I was seeing, OG's players, let's see what they're like. Instantly, within 2 seconds of watching the game, a pub, they're all chatting, not literally typing, they're using their chat walls. I was like... Oh, okay. They must be in Portugal. They must be with no tab behind them. Use your chat. That's one too many lads. Come on.
They're embracing the brand.
They already are embraced.
The only scary thing for them, though, is they have to be careful about not getting bottom 2. In every single tour in Eastern Europe or Western Europe, it has always been really close. There's always I'm always like, man, I wish 7 of these teams got to stay in Div 1 and maybe only 1 got eliminated. Every season, it's like that. Every tour.
But we need to learn how to do well.
They got to be careful
at majors, though.
Yeah, but you talked about them ramping up, and it's like, yes, I want them to be, but imagine if they get knocked to like Div 2 or something. If you're like that, about to be like an amazing team, you really don't want to get knocked down to Div 2 for a season where you just stomp for 8 matches or something.
That's true. It's not the right type of practice you would seek in a DPC league, for sure. We could talk about the DPC league for days, as you can hear. We only really briefly, for my opinion anyway, touched upon 2 different regions, and there are, of course, 6 regions that we'll try to keep you up to date with. But we'll do those on other days as well. We'll spread them out a little bit, make it more easily digestible. But I am curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are for the upcoming week. What's the thing that's most excited for you now that the season started again, T?
It's going to sound like a cheap answer because we just spoke about rosters and the shuffles, but it's who melds together the quickest, and also what team is bold enough to believe in their non-TI strategies, right? So post-TI we had like the mini patch, like there wasn't anything crazy to map and mechanics per se. So it really is like, you know what just won the biggest tournament of the year. How can you reinvent that with not much to go on? Like you're using your pubs and stuff. So when you change new players, new rosters, so it honestly is just, what's new Navi going to bring out tomorrow? What's, Quincy crew going to be able to do in NA? Like what's Matumba Man on Liquid with Zai suddenly going to be pulling out Lone Druid here and there? Like it's just Liquid and Lone Druid, that's actually not that creative. But you get the point. It's just the idea that I want to see a breath of fresh air. I don't want to see kind of the tail end of TI coming back through to new TPC.
And we're going to see some more experimentation, definitely, even though we had this mini patch that didn't change too much. I think players, especially the ones that did good at TI, are going to experiment much more, I see some of the heroes being more popular, especially in the high-level pubs, like highest win rate, for example, has Lone Druid, which you just mentioned, like that hero was nowhere near touched during the TI. You have Omni Knight, like that kind of became more popular. It was considered a really bad hero. I think he was played 1 or 2 times, got stomped during TI. And I just want to see the teams adjusting accordingly. And of course, watching the new blood, everyone's probably super hyped up about seeing the OG because of the legacy, and all eyes on them.
Can't believe you did the research. You said to me off camera or off Mike or whatever this would be, Spirit Breaker. You literally spoke to me about Spirit Breaker, Lacoste, as being the top pub hero.
I
and then you ignored him.
In terms of picking, these are the most popular. I was talking about the highest winner rate. The most popular, Fever, of course, one of the more flexible heroes that was also extremely good during the TI. And there it is. There's your Spirit Breaker. Tell me why.
I mean, the cow was misunderstood at TI.
Was it the only hero that was not picked or banned?
So during TI qualifiers and TI across all regions, it was the only hero. Of course, there's a patch in between. The only hero to be fully uncontested, not banned, not picked. And I did talk to Seb about this, and I was like, do you think teams just didn't understand the hero and how to enable him? And he simply said to me, yes. And then I was like, oh, nice conversation. So I walked away. But yeah, it is the fact that the hero is just misunderstood. People think that you need to buy some Echo Saber and kill heroes, but no. You need to just be annoying, be a nuisance. I could go on for this for about another hour, so I won't. That can be saved for a panel on another day.
You buy Ags or something?
Like
just rush Ags.
You saw Zawe do it from the mid lane. It looked great.
He said that's the bad items. So what do you got to do?
It's like, so you pretty much have the option of just like phase into a small item like Shadow Blade, or you just go phase drum straight BKB. I know it sounds boring.
Small item Shadow Blade?
Like you can go like a drum, for example, maybe an urn situation if you're getting kills, but like Shadow Blade is your key active item. There's not a lot of sentries on the map, therefore if you have a Shadow Blade, it takes that away. And unlike other
movement speed and charge.
Yeah, and unlike other heroes who use invis like Ricky and stuff, Bounty, you're really hard to kill with bulldoze, right? So that's pretty annoying. Vision game is dismantled by Barra, and then fast forward the game, you're level 20, you have move speed, you clear waves, it's great. Spirit Breaker, misunderstood, but teams are starting to learn the hero.
What was that production?
Maybe.
We got a cut.
Yeah, we got a
cut.
Damn, please.
We'll edit it in post.
No, I'm getting cut in post.
Yes, exactly.
He started rambling about the cow. Get rid of him.
All right, Purge, what do you think? Any dark horse picks for you for this season?
Ooh, anything?
For this tour?
I mean, NA DPC is still just going to be an absolute slugfest. The fact that only 2 teams go to the major, and one of them is going to be Arkosh every time. So, like, who are the 3 teams that are going to be 2 of those guys are going to be disappointed not making it to the major?
That's the content team, right?
It's going to be really,
Arkosh is the primary content.
Well, the content team will go to the major as well in anticipation of recreating comms for the stream. But that there's only 2 slots going to the major at NA. That was one of the biggest complaints. Generally, at least from like NA pro players, they tweet about often, like, why not 1 wildcard slot or whatever? They didn't get anything else. And I think the best example of that, Team Undyne consistently 3rd place NA, both DPC tours last year. Then they go to TI and they did damn well. They went positive in their wins in groups. They did end up losing their BO1 in the loser bracket. I'm not going to call it a fluke, but they just had a bad game, they lose. I think that undersold their value to the region, and the fact that they still don't have a 3rd slot is a bit disappointing.
I think, though, as a region, this is going to be the season where over the 3 tours, they need to step up these, for example, the 4 Zoomers or the Undying or whoever, and actually get to the majors instead of it just being another Quincy crew or another.
They were
EG,
so
right?
close, though.
I know, like
they
again,
broke. There was like tiebreakers where they were 1 game away.
100%. Like I fully respect the fact that Undying easily is like tied 2nd in the region. Some days could be 1st, right? If they have a really good day, right? It's just the idea that they need to be able to get over that hurdle, get to LAN, and do better than like Quincy crew at a LAN, right? They need to do better than and just prove that there is this depth in NA. But I'm not saying that they shouldn't have more slots. I think every region should have some wild card slot, but it's just this is the tour for NA to really step up with their diversity of teams being good at the top level.
I think also, with basically the season not really changing in terms of format compared to previous season, we're just going to assume that the previous season worked out the way it did because it only had 2 tours. Now that it has 3 tours, this is the real test. So maybe now NA can prove more that they are deserving of more slots, or perhaps some wildcard slots in there as well. It's time to make some predictions for the season. I kind of want your predictions for winner and loser of both NA and Western Europe. Who wants to go first?
Is this
Shall I go first?
You can go first.
Is this a loser just of upper division, right? We're not saying like the ultimate loser.
No, just of upper division for both of the regions. All right.
Multiple teams or just one? Because I could pick one team safely.
I will say for Division 1, Western Europe, my pick to win it all is... I'm going to go with...
Are you about to say 2? You about to go this or this?
So I'm debating between Team Liquid, Team Nigma, and Tundra. I'm not going to go for Team Secret.
You say Secret's fourth in the region?
No. I'm saying Team Secret will probably be second or third. One of the three that I'm mentioning is going to fluke hard. And one of them is going to do well, because I think Secret's going to do well, but they are going to do well because they're good. You know, they're going to do well, but they're not going to crush everybody. I think Alliance might need some more time to gel. I think they might be higher in Tour 2. I think Team Liquid is very hit or miss for me. It can be really well, or they're the ones that if they don't do well, they'll be very low. And Team Nigma normally floats in the middle. I think I will go for... Actually, I'm just going to bank it
Give
on
us a freaking answer.
Yeah,
Team Liquid,
just give the name.
This is a podcast in itself.
This season, also because they are a Dutch organization, so at least I can always fall back on that. In terms of who comes last, I
don't want to pick who's getting last.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that part.
Okay, well, if you guys are not going to do that part, I'm not going to do it.
You can pick 2 teams.
Two teams to get last.
Eliminated team. I think that's fair. You can predict the eliminated. Go for the easy answer.
I think odds-wise, Team Secret's probably most likely to win. I have a lot of... I'm very impressed by Tundra Esports. I love how they play, but it has been a while. Who knows what's going to change or adjust. Nigma, I think, has a good shot of doing extremely well. Team Liquid could gel too, but and maybe OG as well, but I think Team Secret's the safest choice here. Personally.
Yeah,
so
I have to agree. Just by looking at the names, considering how, they don't have any newcomers, it's just the old school players. Everyone has a ton of experience. I don't know. I just gotta go with Team Secret here. It's probably not gonna happen.
Cop-out answers all around.
No, the thing here is...
Bold prediction time.
There's no bold predictions in Europe. We know it's scripted. No, so I think with... Mataman, when I worked with him in TI9, he has the aura of I can make any team get to TI and be good, you know? And he did carry Chaos to TI9, where we did eventually peter out, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So I feel like he brings what Liquid needs in a team to be going from the shaky team to a very good. So in Liquid, of course, very good team now. Of course, they have Zai as well. So Liquid's going to be probably my easy answer. But yeah, for sure, Tundra and Secret are that very close behind. Tundra could be amazing this season, or they could just be very, very average, but good enough.
I will instantly jump over to NA, and I think EG is going to be number 1 at NA. I am very happy. We didn't even talk about this, but for people that have not been aware, Jerex has come out of retirement, and he is now on EG. So I'm very hyped about that. He's playing as POS 5. This time around, so it's a little bit of a difference for him. But he played in a team together with Crit before as well, right? In the old days.
Yeah. Also, in his time off, Jerex did play Valorant with a pen, like a drawing tablet.
Oh yeah.
So potentially he's still got that habit and playing POS 5 with a drawing tablet. We actually don't know what peripherals he will be using.
But is anybody gonna say?
You know why he does that though? Probably. Have you ever played a mobile game a lot? If you play a mobile game on your phone, it rubs your thumbs down. So if you play more than 3 hours a day, which if you play Dota a lot a day, it's 9 hours.
What do you mean it rubs your thumb down?
He's playing Valorant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said a different game.
No, he was playing. He was playing FPS games.
What do you mean it rubs your thumb?
Yeah.
If you're playing a mobile game and you have to touch the screen to do stuff, it's irrelevant now because I'm sorry. I thought
that's why they have the fun thing.
Why did he use a pen?
So it was basically, I think it was just a comfort thing for accuracy, right? Because if you're controlling the pen, it's you instantly know where you're going, right? You're just controlling your crosshair. Like a pen on a tablet, you know this.
Oh, on a tablet. That's how he's aiming.
Yeah. That's how he was aiming. Yeah.
I don't think he was being serious. I think he just wanted to show that he can still be the best playing with the pen.
I mean, he was...
Maybe he's going to try to do the same
That's
in
what
Dota.
I mean, right?
But you don't have to aim in Dota. Well, yes, you have to aim with mouse. Sure. I want to hear from you guys who you have as number 1 pick for NA.
That's going to be a tough one.
So looking at the lineups, I think Quincy crew, at least for me... they got downgraded. There's 3 changes. This team worked well when they played with each other for a long time. EG, I'm not sure what's up with them. Taking Russian carries and putting them on the off lane. But I'm very excited to see both Jerex and how Nightfall is going to fit into that team. I think competition in NA has never been so strong. Looking at Team Undying, as Purge already said, there's so much that this team can offer. For Zoomers. Very glad that Z-Freak is playing. I think he's one of the smartest guys. If you just talk to him for a couple of minutes and I spent some time playing pubs with him, he's you think you know something about Dota, then you meet a guy like a Z-Freak and you're like, what the hell am I doing? What is this way of thinking? He just has a different approach to the game. So I think this is potentially a really good team. Simply 2 based, Lil Nick. I'm excited to see him in action because I've heard some stories that he's like really talented. Might need a bit more time to get better and compete with the big boys, but I'm always down to watch. So
who's winning it?
Who's winning?
I'm
gonna go with EG.
I think even with the changes for EG, you still kind of put them in that rung above everyone else because they have the LAN experience consistently to be able to, when they are not doing so great, they can put it back together. The question is, Nightfall and offlane, how does that go? And if that doesn't work out well, then of course Undying, I think, slots right in there. Quincy Crew, the changes they made, a lot of changes. Brand new captain, suddenly Milan on 4. The teams he's traditionally been on have done okay, but then soon kind of crumbled a little bit over time. So maybe Milan's got to reshift his change. And then, of course, you've got fresh-faced Ponlo, a very talented SEA player, again, coming into a brand new region, into a team which has this many changes. A new player often does well in a good foundation. So, yeah, Quincy Crew going to have to prove themselves a little bit with a lot of just moving parts now. But again, talent's there.
Are we going... So you're saying EG still?
Yep.
All right. Are we going to predict the losers of both divisions?
Yeah, Arkosh is getting eliminated this season. No chance.
It's just, it feels very mean. It feels like a lose-lose from our part.
We're not going to do any of the losers, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you want to. I'm down, honestly.
I think it's kind of mean. And I think it's kind of a cop-out answer.
Okay, let's rephrase it better, all right?
All right.
So let's go
Dark horses.
No. Let's go back to EU. Where's EU? Okay, here you go. So for EU, the expected losers in the history of DPC has always been the teams who have previously got promoted from lower division. So in this scenario, Team Tickles and Cool Guys, they're the expected teams to go down just because the competition of these regions, the top 6 is so strong that it is hard for any team to break into it. I think potentially this season, I think Alliance is very much a middle pack European team with they haven't got like that wow factor change. I think Leslau or Lelis in the offlane and Aramis, they were the big ticket changes, which will be exciting to watch. So Alliance, they easily could bump up the order and get into like a top 3 position again, maybe even top 2. But I think Alliance is pretty much middle pack. OG, very volatile with this roster, could make or break the team. So yeah, OG, Team Tickles and Cool Guys, they're the fresh faces to the scene. So they're the kind of expected
So what
3.
you're saying, we have to choose one of those 3?
Within
or
logic,
we just have already selected now 3 teams and that's it. That's all.
We'll have tiebreakers.
So which 3 would you select for the NA region, Lacoste?
Arkosh Gaming, they're definitely out because they can't compete with the big boys. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, they might win some games. I think Dota 2 Hustlers, I think, just by looking at the names, there's some familiar names. I don't think a team like this can, beat EG. Maybe they can beat Quincy Crew. They can cause some upsets. Team Undying, they've proven to be stable. It's kind of hard. I think... Well, I'll just say Arkosh Gaming because you can't go wrong with that one.
It's very... like the thing about NA, though, it's you have EG, then Quincy Undying tied, pretty much. And then everyone else is kind of this battle. 4 Zoomers in their own little kind of middle tier, but with the previous BTS Pro Series results, they looked not so great, not like top of NA level performance. So I wouldn't be surprised if anyone other, like Undying, Quincy, EG, to fight for top, anyone else could easily be bottom 2 if they just don't string it together, right? Like, that's how I think we have to see the region.
Anything to add, Purge?
I think for NA, you got to look at morale stuff, like which teams are going to kind of explode and fall apart. And I think those are the ones that are also potentially going to get bottom 2. So that's somebody that could really throw things to a loop. So, and that's something that's not really predictable unless you know the players individually, personality-wise. So
I don't think Zoomers will explode in that. And if you use that logic, right? So yeah, they probably shift away then. So it would be...
Yeah, that's why Zoomers, when you started talking, I was like, Zoomers feels like an easy 4th place pick because like they've always been very good Dota players. They're just not like, tier 1 Dota players.
Or an NA stable.
Or an NA 3rd where you don't actually get to the major, but you just go, it could have been.
Well, and there's a lot to look forward to for this DPC season for sure. This was the first episode of the DPC TL. I was Sheever and I was joined by Purge, TeaGuv and Lacoste. We hope you enjoyed this episode and you'll tune in for the next one. But for now, you're going to have to just wait and see how things will play out with the first week right around the corner. We'll catch you for the next one.